So I've been having the most amazing week, right? Came down Friday night from Oregon, ran away from home. I had been there 3 years already, hanging out with my mom's, getting fat, right? Came down to seek fame and fortune, maybe go to acting school in Hollywood or something, right? I'm in Pasadena, by the way. And yeah, Friday day, about 10 a.m. I left home. Literally exactly 10 a.m. And the mileage on the car, my mom's car, was exactly 150,000 miles. And so I drove down, took my time, stopped here and there, and along the way, on exit 789, just inside of California, for example, the adventure already began. I get off, matter of fact, I'm going to go even before that. In Ashland, exit 14, a few miles before exit 14, the driver's side windshield wiper flew off the car. Wiggle, flew off the car. And I know at exit 14, right just a couple miles away, was the oil stop that I normally go to get maintenance on the car. And so I went right there, took care of business, $20 in and out. It was really great, really convenient, fast. And the girl that helped me, she had this a 707 tattoo on her neck right there. And I said, I imagine it felt really great to get that tattoo, that 707 on your neck, right? Just orgasmic. And she said, well, it wasn't that good, it wasn't that bad, but it was annoying because it was the buzzing in the ear. I said, oh, okay, cool. Right. And so I go down the road, and 14 plus 10 miles is about exit 789. I get off at 789 to I got up for something, maybe get nail clippers or something, I don't know. And I'll go to the bathroom. Ready to go to the bathroom. So I ended up at this gas station. And I get out of the car, do whatever. And I notice first of all, on that day that I left, there was forest fires everywhere. The air quality is really poor, really horrible. It was hard to breathe. It literally changed my attitude of how I was, this just sour attitude, a little bit of just morose from the bad air. I looked, and in the field just beyond the parking lot, towards the back of the gas station, was this woman raking the trash from the shrubbery in the this little field, the field that went off into the distance. But she's just raking in the near part of the field, dirt and a little tumbleweed type of bushes. And I thought it was the most adorable thing. And she was wearing sandals, and it was hot, and she didn't have gloves, and I walked up. I didn't walk up to her, I walked up to the part of the field that she had already done, so it was clear. And I walked and I stood there, and I just appreciated, wow, why is this woman working in the hot sun, in the bad air, right? Is she a tweaker or something? This big rake she's using. And she says to me, this rake isn't the right rake. It should be a wire rake, she said. That was the first word she said. I said, I don't know, it seems like the right rake to me. Yeah. And then I said, you don't seem to have gloves on. Can I get you some gloves? She said, yeah, I'll go inside. Well, I went inside the gas station at a convenience store. They didn't have gloves, so I came back and said, they don't have gloves. But then I said, you're the prettiest thing I've seen all day. I'm going down to LA. Come with me, have an adventure, right? And she laughed and she smirked and she turned away, blushed. And she said, I can't leave on such short notice, right? And also, she's felt very ugly today anyway because she's doing work, dirty, all that. And I left. I went. Maybe I got some gas or something. And then I took one more chance. I said, I drove back up to her. She was still there. And I said, going once, going twice, fair warning. Come with me. She says, no. And she asked, do you have a soda? I said, no, I have water. And she said, okay, I'll take a water. I gave her water. And she said, if you're ever up this way again, look me up. I said, okay. Her name was Natalia. Wow. So I continue down the road, and sooner than later, I got the idea. Finally, after having this idea in 2005, I met this girl in 2005 in Cal State Monterey Bay. Her name was Morgan, absolutely gorgeous. Young girl, co-ed, short hair, boy, looked like a boy. She was a girl. Incredibly beautiful. And we were in this like 2-sentence conversation. And it turned sour, and I said, are you a tree hugger? And she said, yeah. Right? Like that was a bad thing, you know. But it sparked something in me in 2005. And finally, on the way down from Oregon, I finally hugged a tree. I wrapped my arms around it, put my head against it. It was at the weed rest stop. There was a bench in front of the bathrooms. I went to the bathroom, I went to the bench, I sat on the bench, and right in front of me was this tree. The perfect diameter, the perfect color, the bark was all the way up. Clean tree, perfect tree to lose my virginity on. Wide shade tree. Beautiful tree. I walked up to it. I said, hello, Mr. Tree. I'm going to hug you. I pressed against it. I wrapped my arms around him, not to her. There's no port of entry. There's no hole. To him. I wrapped my arms around this tree. And it was solid at first, but something in me warbled in my chest. The coffee was warbling in me against the solid tree, against the nurturing tree. The coffee, the tree healed me, the tree calmed me, the tree gave me sustenance of spirit and soul in a way I could never have imagined. I was instantly hooked. I became addicted to hugging trees from that point on. That was Friday in the day. I came down. If I left the house at 10 a.m. I got into Pasadena. I was on my way. The point of entry that I was going to go to when I got into town was Pasadena Chabad for Jewish services in Pasadena. And so I arrived and I parked the car on the street. Right? Or was I in this parking lot? In Bonds, Ralph's there. Anyway, so This Ralph's is like 1 minute away from the Chabad, 3 blocks away. Really convenient. What I wanted to do was go to the service. And I know when I go to the service, I open the siddur, the book, the prayer book, and I know when I open the prayer book and I pray, I read the words. In English, I read the words. The service is in Hebrew. I don't know what they're saying. But I read the words in English, glorifying God, esteeming the day, enriching the day. Word after word, savor. I savor every word. And it goes on for 80, 100, 120 pages. Right? It goes on. On Saturday, it's a long service. It's like a 3 or 4 hour service, an ordeal. From 10 a.m. It starts at 10 a.m. on Saturday, Shabbat. Timeless. And I guess about 1 p.m., 12:45, 1 p.m., we ended and we went out to the veranda, the lanai, to have lunch. And that's what I was really looking forward to, was the lunch, because they have this stuff called cholent. It's like potato, and it's like a potato stew with this beef type of stuff. It's like nothing else. It's absolutely spectacular. All the food they have in Jewish services, Chabad, ultra-Orthodox, Hasidic, Chabad, all the food is spectacular, but the cholent is to die for. And so yeah, I went down, got into town, had the cholent, had the hummus, had the dalma. Dry, hard dalma. It wasn't that good, but the hummus was good. And I had wonderful conversation with Michael, this Marine guy, who said he converted to Judaism. Okay, interesting. And he said he was divorced and had 4 kids with the first wife, and I guess 1 kid with the second wife, and he was in his 70s. I sat with him during service, and we were bantering back and forth, and I sat with him at lunch, and then I sat across from the table. Across from me was Baron, that I hadn't seen in a while, and he was happy to see me too. He was a sheriff, and I guess Michael's wife was sitting next to him. We just had the most wonderful conversation, and I said, Baron, I said, you were a sheriff. That means you know how to speak nonsense. He said, yeah. He said something about, when people act crazy, you gotta talk nonsense with them. I said, I learned how to talk nonsense recently, a few weeks ago, and it really changed my life. Just spectacular. And I told him about the story, about going into the grocery store, and they had the apples in the cart. They put the apples and the banana and the orange, and the guy picked up the lettuce and started eating the lettuce. I went to the cashier, asked how much he wanted for the lettuce. How much do you think he wanted? Pick a number between 1 and E. Do you wear shoes? The cashier asked for $10. I gave him $50, and he gave me a diamond ring, and the guy next to us was scratching a lottery ticket, and it was a loser, and he gave the lottery ticket to the cashier for store credit, and the cashier gave him $50 store credit. What a coincidence. And he went and bought a Monster drink with the $50 store credit. Do you drink Monster? Yes, of course. Right? And just spectacular, talking nonsense, absolute nonsense. Opened my heart, filled my soul with merriment. Wow. I went on to spend hours playing The View, the TV show The View in my mind, acting as Sharon Osbourne, Sarah Gilbert, Joy Behar, and Whoopi Goldberg. Sharon Osbourne says, Whoopi Goldberg, it's so great to see you today. We're having a wonderful show. Our guests, of course, are going to be Pauly Shore and Her Majesty, Lady Diana. Whoopi Goldberg, I noticed you have a new dress on. Won't you come up, stand in front of us, and turn around and show us your new dress? Whoopi Goldberg says, why, yes, Sharon Osbourne, it is a new dress. It happens to be Prada. It's a frumpy Prada dress, with the green and black, African colors. And I'll show you. I'll stand up. I stand up. Whoopi Goldberg stands up, gets out of her chair, goes to the front of the table, turns around, flares out the dress, the skirt. The audience claps. Sarah Gilbert says, Whoopi Goldberg, I'm really happy that you have that new dress. When Joy Behar and I went, clothes shopping the other day, I got a couple of dresses too. Next time we have the show tomorrow, I'll wear one of my new dresses. And I was going on for 8 hours straight. Show after show after show. Guest after guest after guest. Just ridiculous. And you might wonder, what's going on, Bret? You seem different today, and I am. The secret, I think the secret is, 5 years ago, I had a meth pipe in my mouth, 8 hours straight. 8 hours straight. 2018, right? 8 hours straight. How did I not die? I fucked up my brain to all hell, right? And 2 or 3 months ago, my brain snapped back into position, better than ever. Social skills, interpersonal skills, speaking skills, creative skills, talent, diction, poise, elocution. I blow myself away, and I say, some people might think it's hard putting the pipe down, putting drugs down. My brain is so awesome these days. Drugs are not interesting to me at all. Pot, LSD, nothing. Meth, nothing. Nothing could beat how my brain is these days. Calm, poised, just awesome. So that was Saturday, and I have nowhere to be because I don't have an apartment to come to here. I'm literally living in my car. That was Saturday, and so I come back. At some point, I'm back here in the Ralph's parking lot here in Pasadena, 3 blocks away from the shul. And, Saturday, it was the hurricane. I was welcomed into California with that Hurricane Hillary. It was pouring down rain, and I had the idea to go to Vroman's bookstore and buy a copy of the complete works of William Shakespeare and read it, right? I went to Vroman's, and I went in the parking lot, and I looked online, because the parking lot had a sign said, you could order online, have it delivered to your car. I'll order online. I'll see what they got. I looked online, and there's a big banner that says Vroman's in Pasadena and wherever else, El Strand or Montrose or whatever. Both Vroman's are closed due to the hurricane. I'm all great. And I looked, and I walked around. I walked down, I got out of the car, walked down to Vroman's and passed and around, and I noticed there was the Lamley 7 Playhouse, movie theater, and noticed something's different, right? I go inside, and I look, I'm like, what's going on here? And it's like Lincoln 7 or something like that. It's not Lamley anymore. I asked the guy, it's not Lamley? He said, no, December it changed. It's not Lamley anymore. No more artsy-fartsy movies. When Tonya James and I, one of my favorite girlfriends, 28 James and I, that was one of our favorite things to do, was see artsy-fartsy movies at Lamley Theaters and other movie houses in Los Angeles when I'm down in LA. So it's not a Lamley anymore, and they're playing Oppenheimer, and they're playing one movie that I was kind of interested in, but then I wasn't really interested in seeing a movie. And I sat on the nice couch there, and I looked up bookstores, and I was trying to be slick. Maybe not Book Alley. I've been to Book Alley before, but Book Alley is used books, right? I thought I wanted a new book. So I looked around. I thought I'd be slick, and just nothing's jumping out. Even Boyle Heights. A lot of things in Boyle Heights for some reason. Hacienda Heights. All these different places downtown. I'm like, oh, I don't want to drive all that way. Yuck. I'm just gonna bite the bullet and call. I called Book Alley on that comfortable couch. I called Book Alley and said, do you happen to have blah, blah, blah Shakespeare? He said, yes. The Riverside edition. Great, thanks. $20, great, even better. You had me at hello. Thought it was going to be 40 or 50. $20, right? It happened to be hardcover even. And I get there, and I park in the yellow parking right out front. I walk in, and it was right there waiting for me at the counter. Bought it, went out, put it in the car, drove away, right? So I got the Shakespeare book, Complete Works of Shakespeare with Concordance and Apocrypha. And I was actually looking for a smaller book. I think I had seen a much smaller book of Shakespeare before, but this will do. Big heavy book. And I tried to read it in the driver's seat here. I went to the Ralphs and tried to read it in the driver's seat, and it honked the horn because it's propped up against the steering wheel. So I went into the passenger seat, and I was reading in the passenger seat, and this guy comes up to me, and this guy walking by on the sidewalk, he yells something to me from the sidewalk. It's not that far, but I motioned to him to come close, and he came around the little wall, that wall, and approached, and he's yapping about something. He's got an umbrella. It's pouring down rain. And he said ultimately he wants money. I reached over, grabbed a $5, handed it to him. I said, now that you have money, do you want to hang out? Right? Or you got to be somewhere. He said, oh, I gotta survive. I gotta leave. So he left. And then, so I'm sitting there in the parking lot here, and this is still Saturday. And sometime later, this other guy comes up to me. Ends up, his name is Paul. Incredible guy. I have a picture of him. Just the most interesting guy. Had amazing stories. He comes up to me, and he starts saying, oh, I'm not a bum. I just need $4 to catch a bus to get where he's going. His place, right? I'm like, why don't I just drive you, right? And that was the beginning of an absolutely incredible friendship. You would not believe. So that was Saturday. It's still raining, pouring down. He says, yes, go here, go here, go here. And we end up at this church. He said, someone inside has a bag of his. Apparently not a drug bag this time, a sack, but actually like stuff. And so he says, wait here. I wait in the car in the parking lot at this nice church in Pasadena. Some Lake Lakeview, whatever, Lake something church. I forget the name. And some time passes, and he comes back, and he says, Bret, they're serving food here, right? Come up and have food with us, right? I said, of course, yes, I would love to have food with you, yes. All right, it's too bad I just filled up on food, but maybe it'll be some time before they serve us, and it happened to be, everything worked out. Happened to be some time before they served us. And so I went up. I said, we're out front of the church. He was smoking, and I said, do you happen to play chess? He said, Bret, I was a champion when I was 13 years old. I love to play chess. I went to the car and I got one of my chess sets with the clock, and I accompanied up to the 4th floor, the top floor of the church, on the elevator to the dining room, and we sat at this table, and I'm like, oh God, it's round tables. That's a pet peeve. I don't like playing chess on a round table, but for you, I'll make an exception. You're a cool guy. He had so many stories to tell. He was telling me about, he grew up hanging out with Eddie Van Halen, David Lee Roth, and all these people, Randy Rhoads. Just so many stories, just incredible stories. He used to have hair down to here. And I set up the chessboard, and we start to play. Right? We start to play chess. And I realized very quickly, I don't know what's wrong with this guy. He's not making sound moves at all, right? He's acting like he knows how to play, but he's making literally stupid moves, right? Not even hanging pieces, but just like wasting moves with the rook in the beginning of the game, stuff like that. Push the pawn, and rook up and rook over, like that. No one would ever do that, right? No one would ever do that. There's no reason to do that. He says he knows how to play. He's a champion. Great. Maybe he's messing with me or whatever. As it unfolds, we're playing, and I'm making my brilliancies, and he's like, wow, okay, I'm in the presence of greatness, he says. And it's just wonderful game after wonderful game, dancing around. And we eat the meal. It was Salisbury steak, beautiful, wonderful Salisbury steak. All the mashed potatoes you could possibly eat. Piles, mountains of mashed potatoes. Because we got seconds for the Salisbury steak. He was going to take some home. Take some with him, and he did. Got seconds and thirds. I guess he took like 4 or 5 Salisbury steaks with him. And I would have taken the mashed potatoes with me, but there wasn't any containers to put it in. Wonderful food. The vegetables. Oh, my cup runneth over. And so, when we finally left there, we're at the place. We had already been hanging out at least 3 hours. And we left there, it was at least 6 o'clock. Wait. 5, 6, 8, 7, 8. Oh my God. So, anyway, he originally was saying he was going east of where we were, somewhere. I forget where it was. But we ended up going into Koreatown in downtown, where he said his brother lived, right? And so we're driving around, killing time, because he says his brother's not going to be there till 8 o'clock. And so we have like 2 hours to kill, and we're just driving around seeing the sights. I showed him where Lucinda grew up and all that stuff. I showed him this and that, and he showed me this and that. He showed me where he used to do drug deals and stuff, Hollywood, and just we're having such a great time. All the stories and everything, and yeah, he took me up into the by Hollywood Bowl, up this little road, and said, right there, you know, that house. I owned that house when I used to make $90,000 a year at Coca-Cola, and I was slaying cocaine, making who knows how much. I said $1 million? No, maybe 300,000. So maybe he's clearing $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 at least that year, right? Living in this house in the Hollywood Hills, and I'm like, you know, that's nice. And I showed him. We went into Burbank. I showed him NBC, you know, and where my dad worked, and my house on Sparks, where I grew up. He's, oh, that's a small house. I said, yeah, it's like 900 square feet. But to us, it was a kingdom. It was a palace. It was our whole world, everything. We loved that place. And if we ever got the money, we would buy it. We would buy it back. Me and my brother. You know, everything happens for a reason. But yeah, we love that place. 146 North Spark Street. And so I showed him Burroughs, and I showed him around Magnolia, where they filmed the movie Magnolia, you know. He said, yeah, and we're bantering about movies. We're bantering about everything. He was talking about having dealt drugs to Liberace and his young boyfriend, and said the young boyfriend ripped him off for like $200,000 or $300,000 of cash and jewelry. And I mean, he did say he dealt drugs into a party where it was Liberace and the boy and Michael Jackson at one point. But I don't know, maybe everything he said was a lie. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. And he said, at one point in his career of slinging cocaine, he got ripped off. He got ripped off twice. One time for $40,000, a kilo and $8,000 worth of cash, right? I said, yeah, of course. It's part of the game. And he put his fist up, fist bump like that. Yep, it's part of the game. He told his mom. He was close with his mom. You know, it's part of the game. And, you know, I asked him, did you ever carry a gun? And he said, no, I never carried a gun. He knew that was a whole different charge if he got caught slinging drugs with a gun. And I was alluding to the fact that it's a whole different experience, human experience, to carry a gun, right? I don't think I'm allowed to carry a gun. I don't think I ever would if I could. But strangely enough, just for fun, they advertised this .22 caliber credit card size gun on Facebook. I'm like, let's see if they'll actually send it to me. No background check, nothing, right? So I ordered it, and exactly a month later, it arrived at the house. I'm like, oh my God, I held it in my hand. As silly as it was, as stupid as a toy was, it could actually accept a .22 bullet into it. You could pull the trigger back, you could pull the hammer back and pull the trigger, and it would fire that gun. If you ever want to assassinate someone or check yourself out, you could use that little credit card gun. So, you know, I didn't want a gun, so the very next day I went to the police and I surrendered the gun to the police. And it was almost like they were laughing at me, like, you know, it was a toy. But, you know, they knew, and they surrendered it properly. I got a card, a receipt, you know. I don't want a gun, but it was nice to see it was possible to buy a gun if I wanted to. A gun, right? And so for one day in my life, besides the guns I played with in the Army, for one day in my life, I owned a gun. That's enough for me. That's fine. Didn't even have any bullets for it, but I owned a gun. Unfolded gun, whatever. So he didn't have a gun when he was slinging drugs. And he got robbed twice. And he went on to say, when he got robbed for $40,000, he took it upon himself to protect his house, wherever he was staying, with hiring two Crips, two black guys, Crips, for $500 a night for 2 years to guard the house, right? I'm like, that's interesting, right? Maybe that was a lie too. Maybe it's all a lie. Why would you spend? Why would it even be an issue? I guess he was saying it was an issue. The guy that ripped him off came back and gave him grief, so he hired thugs, confidence men to protect the house. 2 years he spent $500 a night, right? Maybe he was still clearing a profit. I don't know. I've never been in business. I don't know. I can't believe any business survives more than 2 days when you add human beings into the process. Businesses are perfect on paper. They work. You're profitable on paper. You add human beings. You add acts of God. All gone, just like that. So, 36 minutes, are you kidding? I changed it down to low res, down to 720. I wish I had gone down to 360 on this camera. But 36 minutes. And there's so much more to tell. We ended up finally at his brother's place in Koreatown, and we ended up at like this liquor store, and he asked for $5, and I had two 20s and $5 bills in the console of the car, and I handed him the 5. And I said, "Oh, here's 20, just in case you want it, just in case. Here you go, $20." And he went, and he came back with a bottle, some vodka, I guess. He poured it into a water bottle to be slick. And he's sitting there in the car drinking. And he's telling me how, I don't drink that much. I never get belligerent. It's never a problem. I just drink whatever. I drink, I smoke pot, and every once in a while I smoke some shit, he says. I know what he's talking about. I told him, I used to do the biker shit back in the day. He said, yeah, he knows. Yeah. So, there's so much more to the story. 38 minutes. There's gonna be 6 hours of video on this poor 128 gig phone. Oh, I'm gonna be full in 10 minutes. Oh, it's terrible. Oh, Lord. So, we get to his house. We finally find parking. And it's not even legal parking. It's a red zone, but in between cars. So maybe we'll be all right in the bad rain. And he says he's going up and he'll be right back down to bring me up. He's going to smooth things over with his brother. And he had these grand plans for me to stay with him and his brother in this apartment in Koreatown for a month, 2 months, whatever. Maybe I give him $200 for food and expenses. I crash on the couch. I'm like, wow, that's great. The universe is unfolding. The universe is unfolding in ways that I just couldn't expect. And so he goes up. I'm sitting there. And time passes. It's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Apparently he's not coming down. And I fall asleep. And I wake up sometime later, and the car behind me has left, so I was able to go into a real spot. And soon I get the idea. I look at the parking sign. It says, no stopping 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. I'm like, I don't even want to be here for that. So that's Saturday night into Sunday. Sunday morning, 4 a.m., I get the idea to just head back to Pasadena and head back to shul. They have shul every day, every morning. And I love it. It fills my heart with joy and love and lust to go to shul and read those words out of the siddur. God is good, God is great. We surrender our will as of this day, or whatever we say in that siddur. Right? Beautiful words. Praising God, praise His name every which way, over and over again. History and prophecy and joy and the tefillin and practice and heritage, tradition, Jewish tradition that I didn't grow up with, but I espouse these days. I love, I live for this Jewish tradition of putting on tefillin, the head and the heart, the hand, leather straps. I live for this. I need it. Right? It fills me up. And so Sunday I'm there. Right? And I guess it's still raining. Right? What happened Sunday? All right? Sunday, Monday. When did I see Raul? Monday? It must have been Monday. Sunday I went to the service. 9 a.m. service on Sunday. Let's just skip to Monday. Monday I go to a VA appointment, a psych appointment at West LA, right? And it's 1:30 p.m. I go, check in, I go in. There's two ladies, a black woman, a white woman. They sit down with me in this medical examination room, going over psych stuff with me. I'm like, oh great. You know, this room isn't really comfortable for a psych appointment. It's a medical room. Oh, okay, next time. And, you know, whatever happened, to make a long story short, I was on psych meds, and I went off this year for a time, and I felt my brain snap back, and I felt my loins, I felt my cock and my balls. Stretch their legs. My cock and my balls stretched their legs. And I became a man in no uncertain terms. Just incredible, absolutely incredible. I said, I don't think I want to go back on meds. And the psych people said, no. We had a long conversation. We're probably in there an hour. But I'll make a long story short. I got to tell them. They asked me what I did in the Army. Right? I got to tell them. There's 3 ways to answer that. 1, what was my MOS? 2, what did I actually do in the Army? And 3, what was my job? Right? And I said, what was my MOS? 31 Fox, mobile subscriber equipment operator, maintainer. I was the phone company. What did I actually do in the Army? 1, 3 things I did in the Army. 1, I made things dirty and I cleaned them. 2, I cheated on my beautiful, loving wife over and over again and would tell her about it beforehand. And 3, we sang wonderful songs about infantry and airborne rangers. That's what I did in the Army. Now, what was my job, right? I got to tell them. Well, imagine I'm in a room and there's a door and maybe a window, or maybe it's daytime, and there happens to be a woman there holding a baby. Maybe it's her baby, maybe it's not. A man comes up to me, hands me a gun, and says, "Kill them." I take the gun, point it at him, pull the trigger. That was my job, right? And the lady asked, did you ever have to do that? And I said, no, I was never deployed. But over the years, I thought about it, Not everyone had that job. Not everyone was a soldier. Not everyone was trained to kill without mercy. And over the years, I've had eras where I think about it and it brings me to laughter, it brings me to tears. And I love it. I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. I love to cry. I love to laugh. I love to cry. I love to sneeze. I love to yawn. I love to sneeze, right? Make long story short, they gave me the blessing that I don't have to take meds anymore. And they warned me, it's going to take a month to come down from the meds. Just be careful. If you ever need meds again, we got Risperidol for you. As you need, come and get it. I said, fine. I hope I never come, but thanks. Thanks for the offer. I literally asked them, I said, ask me, do you want my help? Ask me that, right? She was hesitant, but she finally asked me, do you want me to help you? Do you want me to help you, right? I said, no, I don't want your help, right? I didn't even know what the appointment was for with the VA, but I went, and I'm glad I did. I got the blessing, God's blessing, to go off meds finally. And I hope people that know about my past, the psych meds and the psych wards and all that stuff, are watching this and they say, no, Bret, go back on meds. And I say, fuck you. I know my brain. I feel my brain. What's happened in the last 3 months trumps everything. Whatever's happened in the past, I'm a new man. I know me. I'm going to be all right. Right? So that was Monday. And Monday night, I guess today's Tuesday. Yeah, today's Tuesday. Monday night, last night, I ended up coming back from West LA, 405 to 134, blah, blah, blah. Ended up in Burbank, went to Olive Park to set up the chessboard and read some more Shakespeare, right? See if there's any takers for chess in Olive Park, the park I grew up in, across the street from Walt Disney Elementary that I grew up in, went to, when it used to have it used to have Mickey Mouse there, and not the stupid eagle mascot that it has now. But at least they haven't changed the name of this school yet. Oh my God.
Could you try again?
Oh God. I didn't get that. Schoolyard. At least they haven't changed the name of the school yet. Okay, whatever. Siri thought I was talking to her on my watch. Da-da-da-da-da. If anyone needs me, I'll be in the bathroom. Justine Bateman. That was Monday night. I'm at Olive Park, and Raul, my friend from elementary school, we're trying to coordinate getting together. And he says, coming from LA, his girlfriend's house, he's coming, and he meets me at Olive Park. We sit there, and we shoot the breeze for nigh on 2-3 hours. Incredible conversation. Do you remember this guy? Do you remember this guy? And he says, do you remember Dana Wilson, of all people? I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Dana Wilson. Yeah. Yes. Yes. The quick answer is yes, Raul. I'll tell you how I know Dana Wilson after you tell me how you know him. And he said, Dana Wilson was one of his best friends, and they used to do Dungeons and Dragons together, of all things. Right? And I said, wow, Raul, guess how I know Dana Wilson? And Aaron, if you're still watching this, oh my gosh. Aaron. All my girls, all the women I was with, all the women I've been with except one, Everlyn, I would go back to. They were all wonderful. If there was ever a problem, it was me. Anyway, in 1994, I met Aaron Fry through Misha Fry, who, when we were 16 in 1989, my brother Pete met Misha at Backstage Dance Club in Magic Mountain. And so we're 21, 5 years later. Misha brings her cousin Aaron over to our house. And here I am, crawling out of bed at 3 p.m. She always told that story. When I met him, he was crawling out of bed at 3 p.m. at his house in Burbank. And me and Aaron hit it off and made love that night in the Holiday Inn. Yeah, I'll tell it, you know. I kiss and tell. I did. It was wonderful. And somehow Dana Wilson was in that scene. So Aaron, I don't know how this happened, but Aaron had no friends. She grew up in Yorba Linda. Her stepdad had a yacht, right? I was on the yacht one time. It was a huge dining room, right? She was a rich bitch, and Yorba Linda, somehow she had not one friend. And she met me, and she became friends with all of my friends, like Ron Lazalier, and somehow, you know, Roger Waramayo, and I hope this video never ends. Dana Wilson was there in the scene, somehow, in that time. I never knew him before, never knew him in high school, but apparently he went to Burroughs and all that. He was friends with Raoul. And Dana and Aaron had an affair behind my back, and Aaron came to me and said, I had an affair with Dana. I said, good for you, good for you. I played like I was, you know, what's the word? I don't even know the word. Not offended, but jealous, like I was jealous. And she played like, oh, you know, that's great that you're jealous. I was so happy that she cheated on me. And such a wonderful girl. Anyway, so that's how I knew Dana Wilson. And one other thing was, you know, we spent some time together. We ended up at this party. We ended up at this other place. And we saw this this movie called Inhumanities. And it was about people eating people and things like this. But one of the things that they showed was this suicide video of this guy named Bud Dwyer. Buddwyer. Anyone can look it up anytime. It's all over the internet. Bud Dwyer. But I saw it on this video, Inhumanities, and it messed me up. It was the most disturbing thing I'd ever seen. Right? Bud Dwyer. And yeah, that was, and the time before I joined the Army, before I entered the Army. And apparently Dana Wilson was in the Marines in some fashion, maybe Marine Reserves or something. But he had certainly gone to Marine boot camp and considered himself a Marine. And I looked up to him like, wow, cool, you're a Marine. Good for you. Whatever that means, you know. I was very sheltered, didn't really know much about anything, didn't know what drugs were, Morrissey said. Never even knew what drugs were. So, Raoul and I spent the most amazing 2 or 3 hours, and there was these hooligans, these teens riding their bikes at the park, and I got to ask the teens, do you guys smoke cigarettes? They said, no. I'm on the football team, one of them said. I said, good for you. Don't ever do that. Don't ever take up smoking, vaping, nothing. They said they won't. Warmed my heart. So that was last night. And where did I sleep last night? Maybe I was at, Planet Fitness last night. I bathed again last night at Planet Fitness in Burbank Airport off Van Noen, which is apparently $9 away from Pasadena. It's ridiculous in gas. It's ridiculous, or something like that. Some between $6 and $9 away. I'm hemorrhaging money in gas being here. It's ridiculous. And there's always a new adventure for me to go on. So I bathed last night, and morning comes, and I went somewhere, and I ended up at the what's it called? Martino's Bakery. And I get 2 tea cakes and a coffee. Room for cream. I put the cream, and stupidly, I put a dash of cinnamon. They had the shaker. Put cream. I sat down. I sat at this table, and this one woman comes in. This group of women come in, and one of them has this weird shirt on. And as that woman and her friend are leaving, I yelled at her, "Hey, you in the Crocs, what's that shirt?" She showed me the shirt. It was Springfield Rocks. It was the Simpsons reference. Stupid shirt, whatever. I would never wear it, but whatever. At least it's Simpsons. Now look at me, I got a Tonka shirt on. I'm no better. I'm no more mature than her. I'm very immature. I'm childish. That's what I am. You know, they want to pin mental illness on me, a diagnosis. I'm not. I don't self-identify with any diagnosis. I self-identify with being childish. And so I'm sitting there at. This is so incredible. It's obscene. I'm sitting there at the Martino's, and this old lady walks up to me, says, "Gary, how have you been?" Gary, she says, Gary Johnson, it's been so long. I said, "Wow, yeah, it's been a long time." We started talking. She's yapping about, how's it been in your house? Talking about the house I moved into and all this stuff. I'm like, wow, I can't believe this. And I said, "There's a chair here. Please sit and join me." And she said, "No, she's on her way to a Bible study." I said, "I love Bible studies. Can I please join you?" And she said, "Yes." And we went, and she took me in her car, her lease car, beautiful, clean Toyota Corolla, whatever. Lease. So it's brand new. And she drove me from Martino's Bakery on Victory and Magnolia across up into, she said St. Finbar, so I'm thinking Olive Avenue, but it was actually St. Finbar Bible Study Club, a sitting circle of old women in this house on Monterey. So I got to see Monterey High School, of all things, again, that I've maybe only seen once, and it's legend. All these kids get kicked out of boroughs or wherever, and they end up at continuation school, CT, Monterey High School. And here it is, right there, a couple of blocks away from where the sitting circle was. And this lady that I'm with, I didn't even know her name, never even asked her name. She's calling me Gary Johnson, one of her favorite people in the world. And she brings me into this sewing circle of these cackling hens. And they're like, "Who are you?" I'm like, and she answers for me. And I said, "After she's done, I'll tell you who I am, And she's telling Gary Johnson. They're all, "Oh, wow, Gary Johnson, have you seen it?" Like they all know Gary Johnson. And when she finally finishes, I stand up. I said, you know, my name happens to be Bret LeDuc, and I happen to be I met this lady in Martino's. We were talking, and she said she was going to Bible study, and I said I love Bible studies, and here I am. And I introduced myself a little bit, and so anyway, they welcomed me into the club, and they sat down. They put on this video. Unfortunately, sat down. We watched this half-an-hour video of Catholics, a man and a woman, Jerry and Linda, or whoever. There were specific names of these people that are supposedly high up in Catholicism in America. Make these videos. This video happens to be from 1988, and Sister Angelica introduced the video. It's really amazing. And so we're watching the video, and they're talking about these miracles, you know, this little drop of whatever on this wafer looks like Jesus, and just all this stuff, all these knickknacks that they're going around saying it's a miracle, and these Eucharists, this handful of Eucharists that are in this vessel have survived 256 years, right? Miraculously. They should have disintegrated long ago. I'm like, wow, okay. That's what Catholicism's all about, okay. All right. Do these people actually take this seriously? And maybe they do. And it's a whole universe that I'm not a part of. I don't do Catholicism, and maybe or not, I have an aversion to it, but I see this and I'm like, okay, I get it. This is what Catholicism is all about knickknacks and miracles, and putting bread in the mouths of Zulus in African garb, right? Eucharist. I'm like, wow, you know, yeah, I get it, right? This is what they do. This is what they believe, right? This is Catholicism in its finest, in its true form. And I'm like, you know, I'm glad I didn't grow up with this. You know, I'm glad I didn't have to open my eyes to, this is stupid, this is silly nonsense. You know, like Bobby Fischer says, religion is silly nonsense, and the concept of God is a childish concept. And I tend to believe him, Bobby Fischer, right? Catholicism, I can't believe Catholicism has survived as long as it has, with the power that it has. And maybe that's all it is a power grab, and they won, you know, and fine. It's like the world was made just for me. Bill Gates said in the interview, I don't know why kids were having trouble in school. It's like the tests were written just for me. And he has his hand like that. It's like the tests were written just for me, Bill Gates said. And I look at myself, Bret LeDuc, I say, I don't know why everyone else is having trouble in the world. It's like the world was made just for me, right? I'm having a great time. The world is my brothel. The world is my urinal. Every day is a new blessing. And, you know, everything 3 months ago and past is water under the bridge. I have this new brain, this new toy to play with. Shakespeare and chess and creativity, nonsense, everything. I can't believe you're still listening. Thank you, whoever you are. This is for me. Gnosis Beyond. I do this for me. In 20 years, I'm going to look back and say, wow, I'm glad I made this video. Hour and 4 minutes so far. Hope it never ends. I hope my phone number never ends. So we're at this Bible study, and the video ends, and they don't go into philosophy or anything. of Bible study, they go into a sewing circle of one after another is telling literally the same story over and over again. Oh, I met with my cousin the other day and he said he's doing great. Oh, I met with my niece the other day and she says she's doing great. Over and over. Everyone was saying the same thing over and over again. And one of them was 91. She said, oh, I just turned 91 and I'm doing great, right? And there was phone call after phone call after phone call, she said, of people wishing her happy birthday. And one of the ladies said, why don't we? And I said, yeah, let's sing her happy birthday. We sang her happy birthday. 91, right? And this is the room that I was in. And when the sewing circle ended, they said, are there any last comments? One woman said a comment, and I said, you know, I have a comment. Check this out. I have the most amazing activity for you to do, and you can do it today. This is what you do. Hear me now and believe me later. This is what you do. Go get yourself a copy. Hold on. Okay. Go get yourself a copy of the complete works of William Shakespeare. Then open it to literally any page. Then read literally any line on that page. Then read the next line. Then read the next line. Then read the next line. And go on like this, in this likewise manner, reading line after line until you start crying. Right? I told him this. So, wow, it's a great idea. Shakespeare, yeah. Who? Shakespeare, yes. Right? And that's a great idea. I'm glad you got to hear that. Everyone should do that. Right? That's all you have to do. So, this lady says, okay, this is the part where I was going to take you back anyway. So we went back. Apparently, we missed the whole actual Bible study where they were going to talk philosophy or whatever. The part, the meat that I was actually hoping to see. But this woman had plans anyway. Apparently, she had plans to come back to the Martinos and pick up her niece or whatever it was, great niece, who worked there and getting off at 12. And so we get back to the Martinos, and lo and behold, the one, I gotten 2 tea cakes, and I left one. When this lady took me away, I had left one on the table, a whole tea cake on the table. When I came back, there was a lady sitting at the table, and my tea cake was still there. I said, wow, thanks. And she said, oh, it's yours. You know, we were wondering. I said, yeah, thanks. And I took it to another table, and this lady, at the end of the conversation, I finally found out her name. Her name's Stephanie. So Stephanie was in line, got her biscuit, her tea cake, and her coffee. And it was just a love affair. I took her hand, I massaged her hand. I treated her like she was young. I wanted at her, is be young. She was young. Not 84, but 20, 18, 24. I massaged her hand. I touched her and I touched her. And we had wonderful conversation. I was inspired to romance this woman for some reason, and she bantered back. Right? 84 years old. It's filthy, Bret. What are you talking about? Creep? Whatever it was, she was wearing lipstick. I said, why are you wearing lipstick? Are you wearing lipstick? She said, yeah. She touched her lip, showed it to me. Why are you wearing lipstick? I said, why do you ask? It's a strange question. I said, it seems like if you're wearing lipstick, it means you want to kiss someone. Do you want to kiss me? She said, no. She laughed. No. You want to kiss someone. And it was just like that. Just banter after banter after banter. And she was telling me about her boyfriend. Long distance relationship. He lives in Northern California. Oh, I talk to him on the phone. I text with him. I'm in love with him. I have passion for him. I said, I hope so. I hope so. Right? She was telling me. I asked her, when did you meet him? She said, well, my husband died in 2016, but we met. We're friends, family friends. I met him in 2014, right? But when my husband died, then I made a relationship with this man, Johnny, or whatever his name was. I said, so you did not have a relationship with this man until you were allowed to. You always follow the rules. She said, yes, I always follow the rules. I said, I never follow the rules. And she said, I know, I can tell. I sang to her, I'd rather laugh with the sinners than cry with the saints. The sinners have much more fun. You know that only the good die young. Right? She laughed. She loved. She wanted and she wanted and she had, and she sat with me and she talked with me and we bantered. And then 12 o'clock came and I had already given her my business card, and she was telling me she can't wait to tell her sisters and her other relatives about me, about this tryst that she had with me. Filthy rags, right? This 4-hour love affair that she had with me at a Bible study. Right. There's something else. There's something else. She was bragging about how she has 6 kids. That's what it was. She was bragging about how she has six kids. One, then another, then another. I said, tell me what you did to get that first kid. Tell me what you did to get that second kid. Tell me, kiss and tell. She said, no, I'm not going to kiss and tell. It's filthy, obscene. Tell me what you did. You're bragging about the kids. Tell me what you did, how you did it. Over the back, around the top. Missionary. Always plays by the rules. Probably was always missionary. Was she in love? Does she know what love is? Does she know what passion is? Anyone ever pulled her hair? I pulled her hair today. I pulled her hair when we were walking back to her car from the sewing circle. I hugged her and I picked her up. And she said, oh, it's probably not a good idea, she said. I said, okay. I reached up and I grabbed her hair and I pulled her hair like that. She had short white hair. Good enough length to pull. Let her know I mean business. Let her know I mean it when I pull her hair. Treat her like a lady. Call her a woman. Treat her like a lady. So her niece got off work and we casually just left. And I left. I'm sitting in my car in the parking lot in the afterglow of this torrid love affair that happened in a sewing circle Bible study. I'm sitting there and there's a fence between me and the next parking lot, and this woman's walking by. Looks like Brigitte Nielsen. I knew she looked like someone. She looked like Brigitte Nielsen. I lower my window. I yell at her. You're beautiful. Can I take your picture? I yell at her. She dropped her mouth and she like a laugh like that. You're beautiful. She went on her way. Can I take your picture? Brigitte Nielsen. In Burbank, you have fashion models and actresses, beautiful people. And I say it all the time. Beautiful people are beautiful. And I really appreciate looking at beautiful people. And if I can touch or caress or be in the same room as that beautiful person, that's great. All the better. So where was I? I'm in the parking lot of Martino's. And I'm supposed to go meet Raul at 10, and now it's 12. I texted him at 10 saying, oh, I'm at this sewing circle. I'll see you later. And I look at my phone and I see there's a missed call, there's a voicemail. It happens to be Paul from the other day. I said, no way. Paul called me back. Wow. He said he's taking the bus. He's going to meet me at our original Ralph's here, literally here. And so I'm like ecstatic. Oh my God, I get to see this amazing guy again. And so I rush here from Burbank to Pasadena. And I'm sitting here. He said in the voicemail that's probably going to be like 2 hours, so I got like an hour to kill. I get here, an hour goes by, and then another hour, and finally he calls me from another phone. He calls me and says, I'm at El Monte bus station. Okay. It's like half an hour away. I go and pick him up at El Monte bus station, right? And it was just like falling in love all over again. Holy cow, I'm so glad I get to see you again. And I'm so glad I get to see you again. And he's telling me, he's sorry about the other night, that he didn't come right back down and bring me up. But when it comes down to it, what actually happened was, he went up and told his brother about me and imposed me upon his brother, he's gonna stay a while. And he and his brother got into a fist fight, and somehow this ended up with police coming and arresting Paul and taking him to Twin Towers. I said, yeah, wow, Boucher's Glass House, Twin Towers, that's great. And he said he just got out this morning. I said, did you get to go into population? He said, no, he didn't get that far. It was a drunk tank, I guess. And he said, matter of fact, when I picked him up, he was sitting with this fat woman on the bus bench, and he sat in my car, and I got out, and I walked over to the fat woman, and I said, you look so friendly. And she stuck her hand out. I said, no, I want to hug you. Can I hug you? He said, yes. We hugged. I said, so nice to meet you. I went back to the car. And Paul said, what was that all about? I said, I love those 5-second love affairs. Right? And so, he's telling me about this story about how he went to jail. Now he has a restraining order. I said, thank the fuck Christ. You're trying to get me into this place in Koreatown, and Koreatown has just about the worst parking situation I could possibly imagine. Right? I'm so glad you saved me from this misery of a month or 2 months living in Koreatown at any expense, at any effort. Right? Thank you. And you have a restraining order on top. That's great. Now we know we're never going back there. And so he has this plan. Bret, guess what? I know these two girls, right? I know these two girls, right? I have this plan. We're going to go to this Motel 6. I know the spot. We're going to get these girls in a room, buy them a bag of dope. They'll stay all night, suck our dick, whatever. I said, great. Maybe while they're doing drugs, I'll read Shakespeare to them for a change. You know, I was looking so much forward to having this female companionship, crack whores as they are. Bag of dope. So he's telling me this, and there's a Bank of America right there, and I turn in, go to the ATM. He said, $40 bag of dope, right? And I said, okay, great. And he said, oh, but it's going to cost $100 for the hotel room, the motel, right? I said, I'll do it on plastic. No, I get a discount if I pay with cash. It'll be $140, but I get it for like $93 if I pay with cash. Okay, so $140 play right in that game. Okay, right? I get $140 out of the machine, and we're on our way, driving, and is there anything else to tell before we get to the Motel 6? He's just going on and on about these. He's so horny, he wants to fuck these girls. And one of them has huge titties. One of them's not Mexican. And they're both professionals. They both have jobs. They just do this for fun or whatever. On the sly. Just to be naughty. Sure. So anyway. He says he normally gives the girls $50 each in the morning, right? But we don't have to worry about that, he says. But we do need a $100 deposit, and you'll get that back tomorrow. So here I am. I go back. There's, at the Motel 6, I think it's El Monte or something. I don't know. I forget. I think it was El Monte. Yeah, El Monte. We're at this Motel 6. So right around the corner is a Wells Fargo. And I go and I get $200 more in tens, right? Amazing. I went in for the tens, but at the Bank of America they gave tens in the ATM, which is amazing. So much more convenient than 20s, I think. I got $200 because I want to give these girls money. They deserve it. The least I could do is give them $100 and a bag of dope, right? So on the way, blah, 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 on the way to the hotel, he scores a bag of dope, $40, and he comes back and says, it's 2 rocks. It should have been $20, he says. I said, well, at least it's rocks. It's good. It's not powder. It's good shit, I guess, whatever. It used to be real good shit when it was biker shit in 2000, whatever. 2002. And so we get to the Motel 6. He says, wait here. He's going to talk to the guy. And he goes and he comes back. He says he got the room. He's going to go up. He'll be back right down in 5 minutes. Right? Oh, great. Right? 5 minutes turns into half an hour. I'm like, okay, whatever. And one of the things that he said in our conversation was his favorite album of Led Zeppelin was Physical Graffiti. And to pass the time on my phone, I turned on Physical Graffiti, right? First song, the next song, in order, Physical Graffiti. And I had told him, the only song I can stand by Led Zeppelin, a little bit Fool in the Rain, but the only real song I can stand, I love this song, is Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You. I wish I could learn how to play it on guitar. It's something that I could do in one day. I could learn it in one day if I just sat down and learned it. right? But no, I don't. Maybe I never will. So I'm listening to physical graffiti, and 5 minutes turns into over an hour. I'm sitting there, and I get out of the car, and I wander to the wall over on the other side of the parking lot, and there's this guy standing in the back of his SUV with the door open, and I'll use this urinal over here. I pissed on the wall. Well, piping that's on the wall. And I go back over to the guy and have a conversation with him. I literally tell him, the guy I'm with, his name's Paul. He said he's going to go up to the room. He'll be back down in 5 minutes, right? And that was an hour ago. And I'm like, maybe I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he's smoking some shit. I just hope he saves some for the girls that are supposed to show up. And the guy laughs. And so I wander over to the office and asked the big, fat, ugly lady in the office, young, probably 20s. This is a silly question. I'm having the most amazing day, but there wasn't this guy an hour ago named Paul bought a room for me, right? And she said she couldn't tell me even, she was not allowed to tell me. And that's fine. I laughed, whatever. So anyway, I wander back to my car. I pull out the chair, and the chair that's in my trunk, folding chair. I get my Shakespeare book, and I go over into the shade, and I start reading the Shakespeare, and the lady is like right there immediately, saying, "You can't be here. You're not allowed to be here." I'm like, my friend Paul is here somewhere. Where am I gonna go? Not my problem. All this stuff, blah blah blah. And so I casually go back and put my stuff away. I turn back, and there's a guy standing there with the lady over by the hotel. And I walk over and I said, "You're a guy. Did a guy named Paul?" Because the Paul told me he was talking to a guy. Paul, I asked the guy, did a Paul ask for a room an hour ago? He said, "No, but I can call the cops." "Would you like me to call the cops?" I said, "Yeah, call the cops, yeah, please." And this time I didn't wait, I just left. But just so funny. So, all in all, I still have $80 in my pocket, which means today Paul got $260 off of me. And with the 40 from before, that's $300 altogether. And I got to tell Paul in the minutes before we got to the hotel, I said, one of my favorite movies is Midnight Cowboy. And it really, this whole situation reminds me of Midnight Cowboy. And it really does. And I said, if an alien from Mars came down to Earth and said, "I heard you guys have movies here. I want to see one movie. Tell me what movie to see." I would tell this alien, "Watch Midnight Cowboy." And I say, if you've never seen a movie in your life and you're only going to see one movie in your life, blah, 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 see Midnight Cowboy. Right? In Midnight Cowboy, John Voight is naive. A hustler, he says, to, what's his name? Rico Rizzo. Academy Award winner Dustin Hoffman, right? Well-deserved Academy Award. Rain Man and so forth. I'm a hustler, he says. Oh, you gotta tell a guy these things, right? I'm literally telling Paul I'm a hustler. I'm totally open to be taken advantage of. Please take advantage of me. And he did. He did. And if he calls me again, I'll say, "Paul, it's been so long. Let's hang out." Welcome him with open arms. Right? If he ever calls me again, he says, got any money for me today? I said, probably not, but let's hang out. Shoot the breeze, tell me some more tales. Tell me some more stories. I'll tell you some more stories. About how I was with that woman. Salvation, I knew her as, but her name was actually Kimberly Kelly. I was with her 2 or 3 weeks, if that. And among that time, I told her to kick me in the balls, square in the balls. And she got this wicked grin on her face. She had boots on. Beige boots. Womanly boots. She said, I'm going to kick you in the balls. You ready? Puts her hands together. Devilish. Devilish. Salvation squares up. I next to the bed. I put my legs apart. Reckless abandon. She rears up and kicks me square in the balls, and I'm like, oh my God, I fell on the bed, loving into it, savoring every inch of it. And we had some other adventures, whatever, but years later, she ended up passing away, left me $80,000, you know. Who'd have thunk it? So that was Paul today, and I leave the Motel 6, and I'm like, where am I gonna go? I wander around towards Pasadena, and I kind of get towards Pasadena, and I get to Mission Street. I'm like, oh no. I look to the left. I'm like, oh God, that's into downtown LA. There's the bridge. My fate is sealed. So I turn right. I'm thinking I'm heading towards Pasadena, and I see I'm into South Pasadena, and then all of a sudden I'm in San Marino. I think I'm heading north, right? But apparently I'm not. I'm heading east. You know. And I eventually get back to where I want to be. 210. Get off the 210. I get off, you gotta hear this. I swear to God. I get off the 210. And I'm going to Lake, and right at the corner of Lake is this woman standing there, a young woman. Maybe 20, maybe 25 years old. Wild hair, like a beatnik, like a gypsy. Remains in the gypsy, lightning strikes, maybe once, maybe twice. This gypsy woman was standing there, and I stop, and I put the car in park, and I lower the window, and she comes up, maybe expecting money, and I said, come join me. And she's startled, she's taken aback. And she says, she's not beautiful, but beautiful. And sun-beaten, young, bosom, and draped clothes. Pampa clothes, Pampa, Pushka, Schmata clothes, strewn together like she got dressed last year and she's still dressed now. And she smelled like that. But this woman, I said to her, join me. And she said, who are you with? I said, I know how to answer this. I'm with that sign on the pole. And she looked. And she smiled. And she said, no, how can I know? I said, there's a moon behind you. Look. And there was a half moon right behind her head. And she looked. And she smiled. I said, come with me. Not a word. She grabbed her things. A big, huge jug, stupid jug of water. And this cup, a clear plastic cup of little knickknacks and some coins and this other thing, stuff. She had 3 things in her hands, and she got into the passenger seat in my car, and my jaw dropped. I'm like, what the fuck? How is this creature even in my car, even for 1 second? How did I do it? How did I sell this? I've never sold a damn thing in my life, but I sold the concept of come with me. And she did. And she came with me. I turned the corner and went the block away to the Ralph's. I said, this is my home base right here, this parking lot. She said, where? I said, by that driveway right there, that driveway. I said, that driveway. I was in love. Not love, lick. She had like red braids coming down from her hair, tied with string to short hair. Some short hair, her hair was all over, some short, some long. I guess she had brown hair, medium brown hair, and these red braids, red ropes, maybe 10, strewn about her hair coming down, draped on her, like what she had on her and about her was centuries old. Like Shakespeare dressed her, and she's still wearing these clothes. And she's sitting in my car, and we parked. And she's telling me her story about how, I'm like, my jaw is agape that she's even in this car. I can tell she doesn't trust anyone. She's telling me her story, her sad story. About how she was with a couple 3 weeks ago. And she's the nice guy. She had done some work cleaning houses. She got some money together. She got a room. And stupidly, she invited this boy and this girl, this man, this woman, this couple. Apparently they knew each other in some capacity. She invited them to stay in the room with her. And she's going on and on about how they took advantage of her, and they took advantage of her, and they took advantage of her. And more specifically, the boy, William, gave her a look. And Becky, the other girl, got jealous that he gave her this girl. I don't even know who this girl, I never got her name. Gave her a look, right? And Becky got jealous and lit this girl's pussy on fire with a crack lighter. Oh, this is interesting, right? She's telling me this, sitting in my car, right? And she's going on about her sad life. I said, my life has been amazing. My life has been the exact opposite of your shitty life, right? And she said, so now what do you want to do? I said, watch this. I got out of the car, opened this door, I walked over to that tree, and I hugged that tree. I hugged it like I meant it, but it wasn't that long, maybe 10 seconds, 30 seconds. Just enough to know the tree knows that I'm there, and I know the tree's there. And give and take, the push and pull, the warbling. There's no warbling anymore. I guess first blush is a warble, and then it's gone, chasing the dragon. And I came back to the car, and she said, she's hugged trees before. I said, yeah, I just wanted to show you I'm a weirdo. I hug trees. And she said, you have a radio? I said, not only do I have a radio, I have this phone. Pick any song. She said Chris Brown. She's in love with Chris Brown. She has a crush on Chris Brown. I said, yeah, Beats by Brown. Yeah. Beats by Bret, Beats by Brown. I said, told Siri to play Chris Brown. The first song came on and she said, this isn't Chris Brown, there's some women singing. It happened to be Chris Brown, but it was featuring some women. So I skipped to the next song, and she was content with the next song. And this woman sitting in my car opened up like a flower. She started speaking in a British accent. Proper accent. Not complaining about things, just telling about flowery life. Telling about good things. Goodness. Blessings. This woman who had the schmata, 500-year-old clothes. A bodice. Her breast was a bodice. Couldn't help but to stare. Unwholesome. It was wholesome but unwholesome, unseemly. Bodice. Low cut. Just for me. Thanks God. Thanks Somic. Thanks Osiris Raven of the day. The night now. Bodice. She knows I'm watching. She likes the way I stare. If they say why? Tell him that I like to look at breasts. Thanks God. It works. I get that dopamine. I saw her breasts. I couldn't say no. So we're sitting there listening to the song, and she looks over. She looks past me. She said, there's something going on over there. I said, I know. You can't see it, but beyond this wall over there is an umbrella that's pulled down. So you see an umbrella. It's like there's a man standing there. I knew what she was talking about. Just a quick glance, just knew immediately. There was nothing else over there. Everything over there. Trees, signs, lights, walls, signs, everything was over there. But I knew she meant that umbrella. She said, what is that? I know. I said, it's an umbrella. I want to see that umbrella. I said, let's go on a field trip. I went around and I opened her car door. I treated her like a lady. I brought her out of the car. I closed the door and locked the door, even though the windows were down a bit. And we walked over. We had a field trip. Walked over to that umbrella. I said, yes, it's an umbrella. And we went further, and we discovered the restaurant. And she said, it's not fair. I said, I know. The restaurant's out of business. She said, yeah. The restaurant's out of business. And she started snarling. We went a little farther. A few more feet. I said, look, there's a cat. A Chinese cat with a hand like that. Look at the cat. She continued to snarl. She said, they took advantage of me. They stole money from me. I said, how much? How much do you want? I said, how much do you want? She shook her head like this. And she wandered off. And I started to follow. And she said, no, don't. And she went to the end of the corner, and she turned the corner. And I had to see her off. I had to, from afar, see her into the corner, and then I went and I followed her from afar. all the way around to the other corner of the block. And she turned left at the other corner of the block, catty corner to the Ralphs. I thought, I'm going to go back to the car the other way. If she wants, she can come back around the whole block. It's not that far. My car will still be here. She can get back in the car if she wants. She snarled, she's a bitch. Maybe I don't want her in my life. But for that moment, whoever she was, complaining about teeth, her bad teeth, I said, at least you have some teeth. Some people have no teeth. So yeah, I had that woman in my car. I think the smell is gone now. Her smell is gone. Stench. B.O. Whatever. Maybe she shit herself. I don't know. What a joy it was to have her in my life for those blessed minutes. My mouth agape. I can't believe she's in my car. I can't believe she's talking. Talking in British accent. Being playful with me. Maybe she hasn't been playful with someone in a long time. Just beaten down like a dog over and over. Well, thanks for listening, and I hope to make more of these. Have a great night.